Hi there, this is Megan with Enigma Yoga, and today I'm offering a 60-minute vigorous flow class. I like to think of this flow sequence as like a good way to ring out after maybe spending a lot of time in the car, maybe in a road trip, or even after sitting at a desk all day without getting much movement. This is the practice that will be energizing and invigorating and kind of strong. So if you're looking for something more mellow and maybe a little bit more relaxing, I might offer instead that you check out my video that's a mellow stretch and breathe. But today we'll be working with more of a vigorous vinyasa flow, and I'll offer modifications along the way, but there will be a baseline knowledge of vinyasa flow and some strong postures involved. So just want to make sure that if you like to use props, you have your blocks, your strap nearby. You can pause the video and grab those. If you don't have blocks or straps in your at-home practice, a great option is always a nice thick book or picture album. And instead of a strap, maybe a belt or even a dish towel that you can use to hold on to both ends. So once you've gathered your items and you're ready to settle into your practice space, I'll invite you to join me by starting out in reclined bound angle pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. So lying down on the back, feet will start together, bend at the knee, and then let's open up those knees. Allow them to fall apart. And if this feels intense at the very beginning of practice, you can use that block. Prop up the knees on both sides just to support the opening through the hip. And as you find your placement of the knees and the feet, I invite you to place one hand on the low belly and the other hand at heart center. And just begin to bring your awareness to your breathing. Drawing your inhale in through the nose. And exhaling the breath out through the nose. Feeling the belly rise, the chest rise on the inhale. And feeling them relax and soften on the exhale. And allowing yourself to come to this focus on the breathing, and just notice any distracted thoughts that try to steal your attention, and set them to one side, coming back to this breath, to this connection to the life force, the prana flowing into your body on each inhale, and removing anything that doesn't serve you on the exhale. Coming to a place of stillness and readiness to begin our practice. One more inhale here, and release it with an exhale. And release the hands from the chest and the belly, and bring those knees back together, maybe using the hands to help you out. And we'll roll up, come to a tabletop position. To begin some cat-cow breathing, just waking up the spine. On the inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the crown of the head to the sky for cow. And on the exhale, rounding your back, dropping your crown to the floor like an angry cat. Continuing this movement, fluid through the spine. Waking up, maybe starting to feel some energy flowing. Working on a little bit of that stiffness as we move through cat-cow with the breath. Inhale, dropping the belly low. And on the exhale, arching that back in your tabletop pose. And let's take one more like this. Coming back to neutral after the last round. Crawling forward with the hands into a puppy pose. It's like a child's pose. But with the seat up in the air, the hips stacked over the knees, the arms reaching out forward, the chest lowers towards the earth. Hands, palms pressing down into the earth. Opening through the shoulders and the chest. And maybe also stimulating the throat chakra if you feel any blockage to speaking out or communicating your truth. Working in a pose like puppy may help release some of that blocked energy. And breathing, stretch through the shoulders may feel intense if you've been folded forward and hunched forward for a long part of your day. And after a next inhale and exhale, round of breath, coming up off of the hands, and let's pull forward into a Sphinx pose with the elbows lined up under the shoulders and the legs together, feet together, pressing into the palms again, head nicely lifted, not craning up, allowing to feel a sensation of the hands and the forearms pulling towards the hips. So maybe the chest feels like it's blooming through your forearms. Getting some curvature maybe into the lumbar spine where perhaps it was a little stiff from the day. And as always, inhaling in through the nose and exhaling out through the nose. And then from here, let's plant the palms, push the weight down into our hands and peel ourselves up and back into our first down dog of the practice. And if you've been sitting, you may feel a little tightness in some parts of the body. So as you like, taking movement here in your first dog to work out some of those areas. If you are interested in lifting a leg into three-legged dog, that is an option. You may also bend the knee and open the hip out to the side, like exactly kind of looks like a dog doing its thing, you know. And then closing up. And if you want to take the other side to even it out, I would suggest that if you took that option on the first side. And then once you've engaged in movement, or maybe it just seems like a little too much movement, and that's fine. Coming back to dog. And let's move into some Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A, to continue warming up the body. Right foot steps forward to the front of the mat, left foot meets. Inhale, halfway lift with a nice flat back, and exhale, fold forward to the earth. Inhale, stand firm, arms up overhead, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead, and then fold all the way down to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold forward, plant the hands, and here we arrive at our first vinyasa. You may take chaturanga, always an option to take it on your knees or to skip it entirely. Inhale into cobra or up dog, depending on what serves your body today. And then exhaling, pulling back to downward facing dog. And two more of those, moving with the breath. One breath per movement. Right foot steps, left foot meets. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold down to the earth. Inhale, root the feet down and rise up with the arms, gathering hands into a prayer. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead and swan dive forward on the exhale. Inhale, lift, exhale, fold, plant the hands, and release into vinyasa, or you may always, again, skip the vinyasa and just meet us back in downward dog or take a child's pose. Always, always pace your practice according to what serves your body on any day. And one more Surya Namaskar. Right foot steps to the front of the mat, left foot follows. Inhale, rise halfway. Exhale, fold to the earth. Inhale, reach up overhead and gather the hands to the heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up ahead and fold forward to the ground. Lift halfway on your inhale, drawing navel to spine, and exhale, fold to the earth, plant the palms, step the feet back, and away we go, cleansing this round of sun salutation. Away and pausing in downward dog. Continue with Surya Namaskar B, continuing the flow of energy and movement. On an inhale, lift up onto your toes, pull back the hips, and on your exhale, you may walk or float forward to the top of your mat. Rise up into chair pose, feet together, hips drop low, arms reaching up, pinky fingers turn towards the earth. And inhale, stand tall, hands to heart center, sweep the arms up overhead and fold forward. Inhale, lift, exhale, fold, plant the palms, step the feet back into plank. Vinyasa. Inhaling into the back bend, moving slowly and deliberately, falling back into dog. From dog, the right foot steps forward, rising up into our first warrior one, finding the pose for a moment, and releasing hands to frame the right foot steps back to plank, and lowering down, taking care to protect the integrity of the poses as we move through the salutation. Left foot steps forward, inhale, rise to warrior one on the left side for just a moment, and then exhale, let it go, frame the foot, and again through the vinyasa, inhaling into the back bend, exhaling into dog, savoring the movement. And we continue, we'll take 2 more rounds. Inhale, pulling back with the hips. Exhale, step or float. Inhale, rise up into chair pose. Feeling the warmth as the quads support you in the strong posture. Standing up, hands to heart center, reaching arms up overhead and folding forward. Inhale, lift, exhale, fold, stepping back, lowering through the vinyasa, again knowing where we are. You can customize what you're doing in your practice with that knowledge. Right foot steps forward, floating up into our first warrior, and exhaling, releasing to the earth, stepping the right foot back, continuing to flow through the movement. Maybe noticing if each one just feels a little bit different, maybe a little bit more smooth. Left foot steps forward, rising up warrior one, and releasing again to the earth, flowing through the vinyasa. Inhaling up dog or cobra, exhaling downward dog. And our last sun salutation B. Maybe you're feeling the warmth build. Inhale, pulling the hips back. Exhale, step or float. And rise up into that chair pose. Exhale, stand tall. Inhale, the arms up overhead, fold forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold, plant the palms, step the feet back. Lower through Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, pull back to dog. And again, our old friend, warrior one. On the inhale, just for a beat. And exhaling, releasing to the earth. Stepping back and lowering through the vinyasa. Medium dog. This time left footsteps. Rising up and releasing to our final vinyasa of our sun salutations for this practice. And once we have come to dog, maybe inhaling through the nose and exhale, releasing lion's breath through the mouth. Maybe a moment in child's pose if that serves you. And from downward facing dog, pulling forward into a plank, bringing the left hand under the center of the face, the nose, making sure the elbow stacks neatly over the wrist, shoulder over the elbow, rolling out onto the side of the left foot, and reaching the right arm up for Vashisthasana, side plank. You may always, always take side plank with the knee down as that serves you. Holding in side plank for one more inhale and exhale cycle of breath. And then right arm turns back down to the earth. And we pull the hips back. Right leg rises into three-legged dog, keeping the hip points pointed down to the mat, nice and neutral hips. And then stepping forward, right foot through the hands, rising up into crescent pose on the balls of the back toes. Hands gather to heart center, and we take crescent twist, left elbow to outside of the right knee. From here, you can take any arm variation you want. You're also invited to drop the knee to the floor if you would like, if that serves your practice. Breathing into the twist, into the backs of the lungs. And inhaling back to center. Hands meet, thumbs interlace. Inhale and grow the spine long and tall, crown of the head towards the ceiling. And let's take a little gentle back bend here, challenging the balance, awakening the back. And again, always an option to place the left knee on the floor. Inhaling back up to center. And you may keep those arms where they are for now, or moving to warrior three. So preparing to step up into that right leg. And lay that warrior three balancing pose out. The arms can stay reaching out in front. They can come to hand, heart center. They can run along the sides, or you can grab those blocks that you have nearby and use them for support. In this balance pose, squeezing the quadricep for support. And releasing on an exhale back into crescent. Spinning the back foot flat. And the right arm reaches down to the inside of the left foot. And we take an open twist here, inside of the right foot, that should be. And maybe the block is a nice prop to have to bring the floor closer, this open twist. And from the open twist, the left hand comes to the earth, pivoting the right foot so that the right hip opens toward the left top corner of the mat, and we enter into gate pose, Skandasana. Maybe supporting the pose by placing the weight into the hands in front of you as the left foot reaches out to the left side of your mat. Maybe if you want to go for the bind, and you can reach that left arm up and around and bind your gate pose. That is an option. And from our Skandasana, lunging back into the right leg, turning the right toes forward to face the front of the mat, and the left toes facing up towards the top left corner of the mat. Hands to either side of the right foot. Inhale the back long and straight, and then fold forward over. the right leg into pyramid pose. Breathing into the back of the hamstring, feeling a stretch along the back of that right leg. Even inhales and even exhales through the nose. And the left foot steps forward to meet the right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold down and plant the palms to the earth. Step the feet back and take or skip your vinyasa as you like. And we meet in dog to continue with the left side. Pulling forward into plank. Placing the right hand below really your nose and ensuring the integrity of the pose by placing the elbow stacking over the wrist and the shoulder stacking over the elbow. Reaching left arm up to the sky, opening chest to the left side of your space, hips stacked. Maybe taking that knee. Inhaling, continuing to breathe as the fire builds in the side body. And exhaling, closing up into plank, pulling back into downward dog. Left foot rises into three-legged dog. And left foot steps forward into crescent. Rising up on the toes of the right foot. From crescent, gathering the hands to heart center to take our crescent twist. Right elbow to the outside of left knee. And opening the arms, binding as you like, dropping the knee as you like. Any option is on offer. Inhaling into the twist, drawing navel to the spine. And inhaling, opening up to center, bringing the palms together. And inhale, stretching the crown of the head to the ceiling. Then on the exhale, taking that back bend. Challenging the balance again, maybe taking the knee, breathing. And coming back to center, stepping up into that quadricep, up into warrior three. I don't know, bodies are different. My left side balance is always much more challenging than my right side. So if you wobble, just noticing it, not ascribing any judgment to it. Flexing through the heels if you could stand on the back wall behind you. Helping with stability in this pose. And then exhaling, dropping back into crescent. And from crescent, opening out to the side, the left hand to the inside of the left foot and taking that open twist. Reaching with the right hand up to the ceiling. Again, maybe using that block here to bring the floor a little closer. And bringing the right hand also down to the floor. Pivoting the hips to face towards the right side of your space and taking Skandasana gate pose, lunging into the left knee. Wherever your hip openness, comfort allows you to go. And maybe reaching the right arm up to the ceiling. If you've got a lot of openness, maybe going for the bind wherever you are at today. Breathing into the stretch. And then unwinding if you have bound. Coming up out of that deep lunge. Turning the hips forward. And the right toes at a 45-degree angle, pointing to the right top corner of your mat. Hands to both sides of the left leg, hip points pointing forward. Inhale to stretch the spine long. And exhale, fold over the left leg this time, enjoying a deep stretch in the back of the left leg. Giving the hamstring some love after maybe it has been tightening up. while you've been sitting or running or cycling or doing or not doing whatever it is off of your mat. Just breathing into that leg. And then right foot steps forward to meet the left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Plant the palms, step the feet back. And we lower through our vinyasa. Inhale into the back bend. Exhaling into our downward facing dog. And from here, we continue the flow with a little core work. So right leg rises into three-legged dog. And as we exhale, pulling forward, bring the knee to that right elbow, holding here for a few moments, allowing some fire to build in the core. Exhaling back into three-legged dog. And this time, pulling forward, knee across the torso towards the left elbow. Using those strong core muscles to pull that knee up off of the mat. And then back to three-legged dog. And one more time, exhale, coming forward, this time with the knee under the chest, doming the back, sucking that leg, shin up off of the mat. And finally stepping through, rising up into warrior one. Not a moment too soon to get out of that core. And so in warrior one, as always, checking the alignment of the knee, make sure it's not tracking so far to the inside that you cannot see the sole of your right foot, the instep. And wanting to make sure you can still see the toes of the right foot. Taking the arms behind us and finding at the hands, or this may be a good place for that strap or that dish towel if you have it. And then folding forward into humble warrior. The shoulder towards the inside of the right knee, crown of the head towards the floor. Bowing forward, stretching arms, shoulders up overhead. Inhale, unfolding from humble warrior, releasing the arms, opening out into warrior two. Ensuring the left foot is at a 45-degree angle, allowing for openness in the hip. Flip the right palm to face the ceiling and reverse the warrior, painting a stripe across your ceiling as the left hand reaches down the left leg. Inhale back up to center and moving through to extended side angle. And again, you may use the block to bring the floor closer to you, or you're welcome to bring the elbow to the knee. Whatever works and serves your practice today, reaching the left arm out overhead towards the place where the wall and the ceiling meet. As maybe the mind starts to grow distracted with what's going on in the body, just coming back to the breath. And inhale back up to warrior two, straighten the front leg, walk that back foot in as you like to shorten the step for triangle. Reaching the right arm forward, right hand to the inside of the right foot, maybe to the block. Left arm reaching up to the ceiling, twisting torso open to the left side of your space, sucking the navel to the spine to support your low back and support the integrity of this pose. Breathing here in triangle, maybe drawing the heels towards each other on the mat. And we're moving now towards the half moon pose. So if you like to use the block for half moon, grab that block, place it right in front of the right foot, and then bending into the right knee, stepping up, strong balancing pose. The left foot is reaching out for that wall behind you. Again, flexing the foot as if you could flex your heels so hard you could stand on the ceiling behind you. Maybe squeezing the quadricep of the right balancing leg for support and stability in this pose. Maybe finding a drishti, a nice steady gazing point on the ground that's not moving to look at to help you balance. Welcoming the wobbles as they come. And releasing into warrior two. And straightening the leg, turning both feet out to face the opposite directions. Cactus the arms up overhead. And soften into goddess pose. Bending the knees, opening the hips wide. Chest lifting, proud. Gaze steady. And on your next exhale, releasing, straightening the legs. Pivoting the feet so they're parallel to each other, hands to hips, and folding forward, Prasarita, wide-legged forward pose, forward fold. Hands can come down to the earth. They can ragdoll. For some more opening through the shoulder, you can take the bind up overhead. Again, either with the hands or maybe holding the strap. And breathing here, allowing the energy from that strong flow to settle. And release the bind if you have it. Hands return to the hips on the inhale. Stand all the way up with a nice flat back. Turn to step to the front of the mat. Arms sweep up overhead. Fold down to the earth. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the palms. Step the feet back. And lower down through the vinyasa. Inhaling into up dog or cobra. Exhaling into downward facing dog. Pausing here for a moment, knowing what's coming. And on the next inhale, left leg rises into three-legged dog and back into our core work. Inhale, pulling forward, left knee to left elbow, holding here. Allowing yourself to find some measure of comfort in an uncomfortable position. And back to three-legged dog. Pulling forward, left knee to right elbow this time. Feeling the strength in your limbs. Exhale back to three-legged dog in the last bit. Pulling forward into plank, lifting the calf shin up off of the mat by doming the back, using those strong abdominals. And stepping all the way through, rising up. Warrior one on the left side. And finding the alignment in warrior one, we then take the bind, take the strap again behind us for humble warrior. Folding forward and maybe thinking about putting the other thumb, the other hand on top, the one that feels a little bit weird, not the one you would normally choose, maybe your non-dominant side. Create a little bit more symmetry in the body. Breathing as the shoulder comes towards the inside of the knee. And opening back up into warrior one and then to warrior two. Settling into our warrior two legs. And flipping the left palm to face the ceiling again, sweeping that paintbrush across the ceiling, reaching the right arm down the right leg, inhaling back up into warrior two and through to our extended side angle again. Maybe using the block, maybe bringing the elbow to the knee, reaching that right arm out overhead. Breathing into whatever sensation you notice that arises. And just allowing yourself to sit with it for a moment, coming back to the inhale and the exhale. And then right arm rises up into warrior two. We straighten the front leg. Left foot moves in closer. And left arm reaches us forward into triangle again. If you like to have that block, you are always welcome to use it. Reaching the right arm up to the sky. Torso, chest open to the right side of the space. Breathing into the backs of the lungs and drawing the navel into the spine. And preparing for half moon. So if you like to take that block again, put it to the front of your left foot. Bending the left knee and stepping up into half moon. I wasn't joking when I said the balance on the left side is a little bit more challenging. So if you fall out of the pose, you come back in. It's why we call it yoga practice and not yoga perfect. I'm not the first person to say that. I'm sure I won't be the last. So part of yoga is having compassion, and that includes towards yourself. And releasing from half moon. And again, turning our toes out, arms up overhead, and squatting down into our goddess pose, cactusing the arms, feeling strong, feeling the legs firing beneath us, feeling an expansiveness and a taking up of space, which may not always be easy off the mat. And maybe that's why it can help to practice it on the mat. And then straightening the legs, paralleling the feet, hands to hips, and folding forward, Prasarita. And again, whatever arm variation you like. If you'd like some more release through the shoulders, maybe bind or ragdoll, or just hands to the floor. Rolling the weight forward into the toes. Breathing into the backs of those legs. Maybe noticing if the backs of the legs feel a little different from our very first creaky, cobwebby downward dog. And then releasing, bind if you have it. Bringing the hands back to the hips. Inhale, flat back to rise all the way up. Right foot steps to top of the mat. Arms up overhead and fold forward to the earth. Inhale, lift, exhale, fold and plant the palms. And away we go into what I think is going to be our last vinyasa of the practice today. So do with that knowledge what you will. And from dog, walking the feet forward to the top of the mat. Taking a moment here in ragdoll to enjoy some further decompression in the spine as you hold the elbows, roll the weight into the toes, bend the knees as much as you need to here. And allow the weight of the head, chest, and shoulders to decompress the spine. The spine pulling forward like water pouring out of a jar. And then release the bind and slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time, articulating each and every one. We're standing tall in our mountain pose, Tadasana. And from here, we'll take a few balancing poses before we transition to the floor. And the first one is dancer. You may also have heard it referred to as standing bow pulling pose if you are a hot yoga aficionado. And so the right arm comes out to the side, reaching down to collect the right ankle, using your right elbow turned out like you're giving blood. And the left arm rises. Stretch nice and tall on your inhale, and then as you exhale, begin to kick that foot up to the ceiling, keeping those hips close to the floor for good alignment. And then maybe the torso starts to fold down towards parallel. Breathing another strong balancing pose here. And inhale back up to center, release the right foot, release the left arm down. Stand in your mountain for a moment. And then as you're ready, left hand reaches out to the left side, reaches down and grasps the left ankle from the inside. Right arm rises. Inhale, lifting tall. And exhale. exhale, kicking the hand, the foot into the hand, kicking the hand. Well, you're kind of kicking into your hand. And the sole of the foot rises up to the ceiling, keeping the hips closed down to the ground. And just maybe thinking about dropping that torso towards parallel. And this is another great one to fall out of and come back into time and again. Being patient with yourself. And inhale back up to center and take that moment here in mountain. Allow it to settle. And from here, taking standing hand to feet pose. Standing with the feet nicely together. The knee bends up, grasping at the knee with the hands. And maybe you're just working here on your balance, standing in the left foot. Being very careful of the knee on the standing leg. And if you're ready for a little bit more, taking your two peace fingers, reaching down, gripping around the big toe. And if that feels okay and you're balancing well on the left leg, maybe playing with extending the right leg out in front of you towards straight. And trying to keep those hips level as you balance and breathe. And then bending the knee in and releasing it. Taking a moment. And then moving to the left side. Bending the left knee up at a right angle. Finding the balance in the right foot. And maybe place the right hand on the hip and take those peace fingers around that left toe, left big toe. And then if it feels like it's a good idea today to go further, extending the left leg out in front, finding a balance point. But just being conscious of the right knee as you balance and lifting the quadriceps, squeezing it for stability in that right leg. And then releasing. From here, coming back to mountain pose, Tadasana, standing firm into your feet. Maybe the hands pointed forward. Climbed a pretty good mountain so far. And so from here, we'll transition down to the floor. Stepping the feet about to the width of your mat. Reaching the arms up overhead. Bringing them to heart center as you squat down into Yogi Squat Malasana, all the way down to the floor. And maybe it's a good idea again to grab that little block, put it under your seat, and take some of the weight out of the knees and hips as you press the elbows into the knees. And if you're feeling quite open in the hips, maybe you don't need the block, and you can hold here in Yogi Squat for just a moment. And then from Yogi Squat, placing the hands down, I'm going to take a reclined hero's pose here. In this pose, where you go is going to depend on where your knees, hips, ankles tell you can go. Very important to listen to those joints. So start on our knees with our knees together, feet as wide apart as the mat. And then starting to walk the hands back, lowering the hips towards the floor. So if they could go and sit on the mat in between your feet, that's where you would go. But the knees may tell you to stop before you get that far. And if that's the case, you listen to the knees, always. And if you have some openness, you want to go further and it's safe to do so, and you're not feeling any sharp, painful sensations, you place the palms of the hands on the heels. And maybe walk back onto the elbows. Again, just being careful of where your body is today. And only if you are open and not feeling pain. Lying back into the elbows and maybe dropping the crown of the head back to the floor. And if you are on the floor, coming up carefully one elbow at a time so you don't twist the spine coming up. Walking up out of those hands. Coming to the knees, stepping the right foot forward into a low lunge. And so options here for a hip flexor stretch, you can have the hands interlaced on the knee. And this is a great place to be, breathing into the stretch. If you want to take a runner's lunge and lift that left knee up off the floor with the hands inside of the right sole, you can do that. And if you have good openness in the hips today, and I don't mean good in any objective sense, I just mean if the hip feels good, you can maybe open out onto the outer blade of your foot, maybe come down onto the elbows and go into a lizard lunge. Just all depends on what serves your practice today. Breathing into the hip flexor stretch here. And then if you're in lizard, coming back on up and dropping the back knee, pulling the hips back over the knee, and then extending that right leg out in front, flexing the toes up to the ceiling, hands to either side. Ardha Hanumanasana, and if you want to bring the floor closer, you bring those blocks to either side and you use those. If you fold up for a deeper fold, you can fold forward over that right leg. And if you're really flexy bendy and you want to go for full Hanumanasana hamstring stretch here, then that's what you do. But again, always customizing to what serves your practice today. And breathing into wherever you are. And unfolding from your Hanumanasana, Ardha Hanumanasana, bringing that right foot, right knee back to the left knee, and stepping the left foot forward. Taking our hip flexor stretch on the left side. So either again up to the knee, or if you want to take the runner's lunge, or lizard pose, then whatever serves your practice, you go there and you breathe into that for a few rounds, just noticing the sensations that arise in whatever version of the stretch you're in. And releasing again, dropping the right knee if it wasn't there already, pulling the hips back, extending left leg out, flexing the toes, setting up for Ardha Hanumanasana, half split and folding over the leg, or again, if you desire, and full Hanumanasana is accessible and in your practice, then you can go there as you like. You're probably practicing in your living room just like me, so there's no special blue ribbon award for doing any particular variation. Just whatever serves your body and your practice, and breathing into that. Apparently my practice today is helping me drain my sinus congestion, so you may notice that, and I apologize if the sniffles are distracting. And so as you're ready, really there's no graceful way to come out of full Hanumanasana. Let's unfold and transition over to our backs. And on our backs, taking a moment to take bridge pose. And you'll need to be cognizant of your body here today because we've not done a ton of back bending. So depending on where your openness is, just listening to that and respecting it. And so lying on the back, bending the knees, having the heels close enough to the seat to where your fingertips can brush your heels. And from there, pressing into the heels, lifting the hips up off of the ground. And if you're up for a supported bridge pose, you can grab that block, place it underneath like your sacrum right here, your like little dimples at the top of your lower back area, and rest your weight down onto that. And if you want to stay with an active version of bridge, keeping those heels pressing down, toes pointing forward, you can snuggle the shoulders underneath and clasp your hands together if you like. We'll hold this here for a few breaths, and we will have an option to do another back bend, and so you choose what you'd like that to be. And if you're in the supported bridge and you want to just stay there, that's wonderful. If you want to join us in an active bridge, you're welcome to do that. Let's release from the first back bend. And take an inhale, release and exhale, and then we'll take a second back bend. If you would like to take wheel and that's in your practice and you know Urdhva Dhanurasana, then you'll place the palms to either side of the shoulders and we'll press up into whatever back bend you're working with today, whether it's your bridge or whether it's your Urdhva. And breathing, holding, feeling the intense opening of the heart if you're in Urdhva, and maybe a more supported heart opener if you're in a supported bridge, and even a great lovely heart opener, an active bridge. So wherever you are, just feeling that energy beaming up from heart center. And then we release down slowly and carefully. And maybe windshield wiper those knees side to side. And extend the legs out in front, roll up from bridge and or from back from wheel, and we'll counter pose with a forward fold. So legs out in front, toes pointed up to the ceiling, arms up overhead on an inhale. Folding forward over the legs on an exhale and grabbing whatever you can grab again if you've got a strap nearby. It's a beautiful way to stretch here. You can wrap it around the soles of the feet and pull. Or grab the calves, ankles, feet, whatever is available to reach, that you can reach. Breathe into it. And then coming back up to seated, Jani Shirshasana. The right sole of the foot comes to the inside of the left leg. Arms up overhead, and we'll fold forward over that left leg. Again, maybe using the strap for this stretch. It's like we're in tree pose, but we're on the ground. So there's no balance to work on, just this stretch being supported by the earth here and breathing as you fold over the leg. And inhale back up to center, changing out the legs. Left sole of the foot to the inside of the left leg, folding forward over the right leg. Maybe releasing the head down towards the earth. And breathing. And inhaling back up to seated, we'll take a hip opener here, and it can be a simple hip opener. It can be Baddha Konasana, which is where we started with the soles of our feet together. And maybe that feels lovely. Maybe not so lovely, and you breathe into it and you crawl your hands forward. So enjoying a sense of opening in the hips. If you like, again, always using the blocks to bring the floor closer in the stretch. And walking up out of it, rolling over onto our backs, starting to find our way towards Savasana. Before we get there, one more simple, gentle heart opener in fish pose. So the fingers come to right below the seat, pointing towards your toes. The elbows line up under the shoulders. And using the shoulders to support your back, just allowing maybe the head to drop back over that support created by the elbows, shoulders, if it's okay on the neck. Supported heart opener, toes, legs extending out in front of you. And lifting off of one elbow at a time, pulling the fingers, hands out from under the seat, rolling all the way back down onto our backs and Finishing up with a supine twist. A simple supine twist. The knees bend up at a right angle. My cat wants to join us apparently. And dropping the knees over to the right side. The left arm extends out from the shoulder, gazing out over that left arm, palm of the left hand to the earth. Allowing the spine to twist from top to bottom, supported by the earth. Maybe noticing if you have a little bit more openness through the spine than you did when we took our very first twist at the beginning. And inhaling the knees up to center. And dropping knees over towards the left. And extending right arm out from the shoulder, gazing out over the right arm. Maybe soft gaze, maybe the eyes start to close a little. The Savasana feeling might start to creep up. And then inhale the knees up to center. Maybe give yourself one last little hug here in a ball. And release the legs out onto the mat, long and heavy in front of you. The backs of the hands on the earth, palms to the ceiling. If you have an eye pillow or something to cover your eyes with that you like to use in Savasana, I invite you to use that, and welcome also to have the eyes open if you like. Whatever is the most conducive to your rest, and you can also grab a nice warm blanket if it's chilly in your practice space. Coming to a place of rest and stillness. And again, bringing the awareness back to your breathing where we began. Feeling the fresh, clean air flowing through your body. Energizing your blood, the blood taking that oxygen around everywhere where it's needed. On an exhale, releasing out anything that no longer serves you. And as you rest here, maybe noticing if there's anywhere in your body, in your mind, where you're holding on to or gripping or squeezing something. And if you find a place like that, sending your energy there with an inhale, and on an exhale, releasing that hold, that contraction, and just letting it go, letting it fall away. I invite you to remain in final Savasana for as long as you like. You may pause or stop this video to give yourself the gift of extra time here. And whenever you are ready to come back to the physical body, inviting gentle movement by wiggling the fingers and the toes, maybe rolling out the ankles or wrists, moving some of that synovial fluid out of the joints. If you like a good morning stretch, reaching the arms overhead, whatever makes you come back into the body. And then bending the knees, rolling over to one side in a fetal position for a moment, pausing. And then carefully pushing yourself back upright, coming to an easy seat. Finding a few moments to notice how you feel in mind and body after this practice. Maybe taking that peaceful, easy feeling with you off of the mat, out into the world to share with anyone who you may encounter. And knowing you can always come back to this place using your breath. Thank you, as always, for joining me to practice. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day ahead of you. Namaste.